Hey guys, my name is Raw Skye and welcome to the JJ and Skye, the Raw Food Podcast. Hey JJ.
Hey, how are you? Thank you so much for having me on every week. I look forward to this. It's just makes Mondays awesome. One
Oh,
of
it
the
does.
things.
And Tuesday, I'm
Oh,
here in
that's
the
right. I
future.
do that every week. I cannot remember that you are in the future.
That's all
She
right.
can
The
already
future
tell me how my Tuesday is going to be, right?
it is bright. It is rainy here, but I predict for you it will be bright.
It's like a hurricane weather looking thing outside right now. So I'm glad to hear it'll be bright tomorrow.
Well, I hope so. So, guys, we want to talk today about leveling up yourself and your life without being perfect. And I mean, we can even get into what is perfect, but this is a really great topic because I mean, in my lives, I constantly talk about how the strength it can take to sometimes change just one thing in your diet is incredible. And if you judge yourself based on people around, we can sabotage. And we want you to be your own support team as you level up. What are your thoughts, JJ?
Oh, absolutely. And welcome to the stream. I think it's Wevo. Thank you for being here and all your beautiful emojis. I think that there's a like perfection is really what the whole bottom line is. There is no perfection, and we talked about that a little bit last week when we're talking about trying to fast until you get to the perfect this, or trying to juice until you get to the perfect health, or trying to eat until you get to the perfect health. The perfection is in that journey, and perfection can be something that you're striving for, but make it your perfection, like that is in comparison to who you were yesterday, or one little thing that you're trying to level up, maybe today being perfect for you, or someone out there watching might be, you know what, I'm going to have fruit today for lunch when normally I have a cheeseburger and fries, and I'm going to try to do fruit today, and that's really going to make me feel good about myself and progress me on my healthy journey that I'm trying to, lose weight or whatever it is. And then if that's what you mean, that's good. But like sometimes trying to strive for somebody else who may think their version of something is perfection, or what you see as perfection in the world, whether it's the perfect body, the perfect, skin, the perfect anything, when you're striving for that, you're trying to reach it. But then sometimes what can happen is you have one little minor setback. If I happen to be trying to be completely raw vegan and I hear something online that says, "Oh, you know what? Those nuts aren't really vegan. I mean, aren't really raw," for example, then I might feel just like so let down, like I didn't do this perfectly, when in fact having nuts for a snack instead of what I used to have, Doritos, it is perfection. It is perfect for you, and it is a level
Mm.
up. So just remember to reward yourself for your progress. There's not a perfection with this when we're trying to talk about being healthy. We're in a world surrounded by so many, things that we have to take into consideration, and we're all doing the best we can. Even in the world of veganism, it says by all means possible in the definition, something to that effect, right? It's not, you know, you don't do anything that exploits animals. It's in the as practical as possible.
Yeah, and I think just on the back of that vegan thing is I remember when I first was vegan, but raw vegan, you become very aware of where animal products or where animals are involved. And you get in a car and there's animal, like there's leather in a car. In every car, I think there's only a few that are vegan. I'm not sure how many, or even to build the car, or if someone needs to go to hospital, all medications are tested on animals. Like it's about doing your best at every decision to navigate. Otherwise, we can get really angry and project when we really it's on ourselves. And on about being perfect is like you when I first went raw vegan and I had been drinking, smoking, vaping, pharmaceutical medications, junk food vegan, stopped all of it. And some nights, how I stayed raw vegan is by having, like, for example, I'd rip up nori sheets and put soy sauce or tamari on with some cashews and some grated carrot. Like I do very basic all day and need something like that. And I would be so proud of myself that I didn't go backwards. And I found the more I sat in that space of being proud and love, the better I did. The more I wanted more love. Instead of chasing like punishment for myself, like, you can't have anything that's nice or that you're wanting, because that may not be raw. I would find things that could fit in the realm of it, help me through, and still love it. Like as soon as I felt like there was a punishment aspect, that somehow perfectionism is punishment, my body finds a way to sabotage every
Mhm.
time. And when I sit in love and just do baby steps or level up and level up and level up, might go back a bit, but level up. If I can be proud of myself, I don't end up sabotaging. And that's what we want for everybody, including ourselves.
Exactly. And I think it's so important the language that we use to ourselves, how we come into this lifestyle, and then, as coaches, how we bring people into the lifestyle, because we never want to do something that where the first thing we're talking about is elimination, right? Like,
Yeah.
like, okay, I tell you what, um, tomorrow I'm going to start my diet. That means I can't have this, I can't have this, I can't have this, I can't have this, all this I can't have. And then it's like, okay, now let me see what I can have. And that makes that list look really small. But what I want to do is really recommend that people start figuring out what you like about this lifestyle. What do you like about how you're going to feel? What do you like about what foods do you really already like that are raw and vegan? And what learn in your mind, like, what is powerful about raw veganism that you enjoy and why you want to do it, as opposed to just thinking of it like, I just want to eliminate these things so I can lose weight, because then it becomes temporary perfection. Like, if I don't do that, then I'm okay. But you have to want to do what it is. So, like, whether it's from eating, a regular standard diet that you're eating now, you're going to feel depressed, and the last thing you want to do is feel depressed when you're going into a new lifestyle, because then that is going to, like Skye just said, that's such a good point that you make, is our mind will figure out a way to put us back to how we were comfortable. So I'm not saying like you don't want to leave your comfort zone, because we all have to a certain extent. We've all done that, but we have to find a way to find joy in the new thing, and find that underlying, like, why that you want to do it and that you want to move towards it, and as opposed to that I just want to run away from this lifestyle. So that's the only way I think it can work, and it can make you not chase perfection, because if we think about it, perfection usually means what I can't have.
Yeah, definitely. Also, I found that most of my life, what I had been doing was probably destroying myself a bit by that elimination aspect. By I'm on this to fix myself, I need to get rid of all of these different things, but also that I had to get rid of something inside of myself. So I feel like every step I leveled up was, what can I put in that's good? Is it, and it doesn't have to be just food, it can be sunlight. And is my decision today, all these addictive tendencies, but I'm going to go for a walk. And this is good. And there's more good in me. And who I'm going to be around today, oh, that makes me feel good, that person. So more good. And I feel like the more I did that, the more love filled me. And anything that didn't resonate with that had to go. But I didn't focus on what had to go, whether it was detox, and I never had that, because I sat in a space which was quite just slow and steady and felt good, because I really felt I'd never learnt to love all of me. Most things you need a surgery, think 60 surgeries, you need things removed. No more removing. All that was coming in was love, and food that symboled love, and nature symboled love, and people symboled love. And if you keep choosing love, eventually you can't not become love. And your navigator is love. And I think that is so much better, and you level up through that instead of trying to be perfect. What is perfect? And if you think you're trying to be your perfect, you probably don't even know it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
In fact, when I sat in this space of more love, this is love, is I continually felt perfect. So I felt perfectly me, like that's who I was meant to be. But as soon as I'm like, I've got to strip and I can't have this, and I've got to go through this pain, is I start to destroy myself. And in that, the brain cannot sit in pain for a long period of time, because that equals death. It will default out. It has to.
Mhm.
That's how it works. So love really saved me, all these love decisions.
Yes, and love for yourself, love for your body, love for the way that you wanna feel, and that's where if you have this choice you're faced with, and you've got this bag of, chips, and then you have these beautiful, like, cucumbers and, peaches, or let's just say on one side, and now you're not saying, "I can't have that," you're moving towards, "Oh, look at these fresh," "This is what I wanna have to put inside me because I love my body that much," and I mean, that's a simplified example. There's cravings, there's everything involved in that, depending where you are on your journey. But if you can get yourself to a point where I don't even look at those other things, that's where really I think you can be in a space of, now I'm not chasing perfect. I'm not trying to not do this and not do this. I'm trying to move towards what it is that I feel happy with, I feel comfortable with, and I feel I'm doing something good for my body. Like you said, whether it's getting out in the sunlight, I'm not thinking, "Oh, I don't want to stay in the dark house." I'm thinking I want to go in the sunlight. It just is a way of thinking of things that it doesn't make it a chore. I love the way you said that your diet should never feel like a punishment. It should
Never.
always feel like what you're doing to bring joy into your life.
And on the chips idea which you're talking about is if
Unless they're
somebody
Skye's potato chips that she
yeah,
makes us,
no,
and donuts. And if they're Skye's, then you're okay to grab either one.
but sometimes even people can't, they don't want to wait 4 hours or however long it to make chips. And chips is a big one. And I believe it's because we need minerals, and it's anything salty will also help with hydration in the body. So people go to chips, right? Is I'm like, you don't have to not have the chips at this stage. And I still sometimes have gone back to doing things like this. And when I say that, I mean, chop up some zucchini or chop up some carrot, chop up something crunchy that turns into a disc. If you wanted cheese and onion chips, put some onion powder and nutritional yeast on. You're better off if it, because usually if somebody is on a diet and they're about to go back to chips, I always say meet yourself halfway, don't go all the way back. Because also when I've come off juice cleansers and things where cravings go through the roof, is I've had these tools that I can go back to. I don't need to go back to cooked food. I can just make myself chips. These are something I eat every day. No, but hopefully potato chips whenever something people eat every day anyway. Maybe they are when you're first starting. But cutting up
Right.
a whole lot of veggies and putting some salt, onion, nutritional yeast, or salt and onion, it can give your brain part of what it wants, and it makes it feel safe as well. Making yourself feel safe is really important because, once again, that fear aspect, your body will want to get out of it. And so, but what you usually learn on a raw food diet is those type of foods, which craving busting type foods, um, are not something you want all the time, because after it, you never feel as good as when you have something different. Like, do you know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
it depends how much, flavor you put on it, but none of that is bad. When you start classifying things as bad and then you
Bad
put
and
them
good.
inside, yeah, inside yourself, you are becoming bad. Like Dr. Emoto's work, I always say, we literally become the words we say to anything that contains water. And then you eat the water and you assimilate that. So you say, oh my God, I'm doing so bad, I'm doing so bad, and you start eating it. Is your life, the next steps will not be great. But like I said, with my things that beat cravings were very simple. When you're first going raw, especially, or you've come off a bit and you need to go back to raw, is doing things like ripping up nori sheets and cashews and soy sauce and carrots were me saying, okay, this isn't too bad, but not going all the way back. I used to say to myself, this is where I'm at right now. This is
Mhm.
just where I'm at right now. If something didn't feel as good as something else on the raw diet, this is where I'm at right now. And I never punished myself, because I feel like my entire life before that point was just punishment. So,
I totally agree with you in everything you said, and like that, to me also, when we think about perfect, if you're saying this is bad, this is good, everybody's going to have a different definition of perfection too. So that's one thing to
true.
keep in mind. Like, we could say someone's in perfect health, and they could have ate like the way I used to eat before I started eating this way, and cleared up, my allergies, and lost weight, and now I feel so good. But and got rid of of pain. And I think that's one of the things that when I first started, I ended up easing into this by eating that salad. I was full. It wasn't that I was trying to not eat something else. I got into what I was adding on this salad and how it was filling me up and how I started feeling better. So already I'm starting with adding things and learning to love the fruits and vegetables. And then once I did learn that it was starting to make me feel so good and getting me to the healthy feeling that I wanted without being in pain, then it actually was a little bit at first of, not wanting to feel that way again. But I think because I had already learned to love what I was eating after 6 months and learning to love everything about this lifestyle and how it just, the whole concept of it had a really joyous, positive image in my mind, not something that I felt negative, like, oh, I'm just so ready to go back to my old diet because I've been 6 months now eating this stuff, like, and just to answer, I was going to type it in, but I just eat fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds. I guess you would incorporate sea vegetables, anything that is, yes, no meat, no dairy for me.
No plants. I just think when you can make a choice and that choice doesn't send you really far backwards, you're doing well. And when you can start to be your own cheer squad, and because the only voice you're with all the time that yappers on is your own. So we have to find a way for that to be your cheer squad. And I found that eating the raw foods made a cheer squad in my head. Like, you're amazing. So look what you used to do. So that was good. But it was about, where can I settle? And I still live by this. Like, a lot of the time I eat very simply. And then my recipes come up. I can only do even my recipes 1 to 2 days in a row. And then I go back to very simple because that's how I feel my best. But if I went to a stage where I'm like going to throw everything out, and in truth, that's only ever come off the back of doing mono fruits for extended periods or juicing. So this is why unless you're really sick, is you want to learn how to look after yourself, because this will send you into turmoil where your whole thoughts, especially where I became deficient in sodium, for about a year, my whole thoughts and meals were totally consumed by sodium. Like, even if I didn't have it, those thoughts are just constant. So how much damage I actually did when I stopped listening, like, because it's
Yeah.
not a race. We're not trying to win something here. All I want people to understand is to get in touch with their body. So some people who find having sweet potato and quinoa works really well for them and they feel great, they get through their life, this suits them, is if that person, you got two people and one of them is belting themselves up every day for eating sweet potato and the other is, I'm so proud of you, you're amazing, look how much you look after yourself. I promise you, the one that's belting their head up is going to start having not only cravings, but swing all the way back into all sorts of addictions. So it's worth being your cheer squad, because if you're even eating like a whole food plant-based diet, you're amazing. I have to stop it at vegan because some vegan is quite broad now. You could live off potato chips, beer, and Oreos. So
Mhm.
like
That's
there's
my
because
next diet.
yeah, so and you don't want to end up doing that and justify it by saying you're vegan. You want to be actually truthfully proud. And it's about also being honest with yourself, right? I
Hmm.
think that's key. Like, if you are still doing something because you read it somewhere and you are still not feeling perfect, it's worth tapping in to see what that feeling is. You really need to listen to your body and how things are making you feel so you can get the best out of yourself and level up. You don't have, nobody jumps a whole flight of stairs. No Olympian wakes up and starts running races immediately to win gold. The amount of training they do to get to the gold, and that's what we've spoken about before. When you see people who are influencers or content creators, you've seen them off the back of 4, 5, 20 years of doing this, just like an Olympian, right? But that Olympian had to learn first off to walk, to crawl, to
Right.
walk, and we accept, that's another thing, accept exactly where you're at. Don't think you're an Olympian and that you've got to do things that people who have been doing this for extended periods of doing, because also if you hear their journeys, is probably their greatest struggles are when they've gone extreme. And that's why they've
Yeah.
found their happy place. But remember that when you're starting, is all Olympians had to learn to crawl at one stage.
I completely am in so much agreement with everything you said. And like, I think once we've done this for a while, we have to find that what we call balance of understanding that it's not written down, it's not a rule that you follow. It is the rule of inside of you and how you feel about it. And like I've run into that so many times within this 6 years or almost seven now journey. Like I'm trying to think of an example here recently, but you can get caught up in like I don't want anything processed, for example, but there's so many definitions of process. Now, I'm not talking about I'm going to go out and buy a freezer full of food, but the other day, the other person here was having barbecue vegan chicken, the chickens, right? Like the what are they, tenders or nuggets or whatever it is, and
Sure.
that smell actually made me like have a craving for barbecue, I believe. It wasn't even that I wanted that. So instead of that night, I had like avocado and I put my normal like balsamic, but I added a little bit of mustard and a little bit of barbecue sauce that we had in the fridge, right? It's not like, oh, she came to get barbecue. I was like, oh my God, we're
There
on
you
the
go.
same
There was,
mindset. Now I'm gonna want it
yeah.
again. Um, but like, and then I had some, I think we had chickpeas or something like that. So while that wasn't fully raw as far as a can of chickpeas, the fact that I still had my big salad that I love, maybe I
100%.
had a touch of barbecue sauce and an extra avocado than like what I think is perfect, right? I don't think I usually eat only two avocados. That's just like my own set perfection that I've put on myself, But now I'm like, if I want a third one, I'm going to have it. I'm not putting anything down in a rule book. And yes, that might have been something that maybe it wasn't like what I normally do. It wasn't all completely raw. It wasn't unprocessed, but for the most part, I still had a salad, and I didn't have something that I really like would have taken me possibly down a different road of wanting like a lot of vegan processed, food. So
Mm.
I'm like, if we, like, I love what you do with your recipes too, because that's exactly what you're saying. The texture and the taste and the smell is usually what we want when we do have those cravings. It's not even probably what it is that we're thinking that we might want, and it's in some cases it could be a nutrient, like you said, you could be need some sodium in your diet if you're really
Mm.
craving salt, and so not ignoring that and making it so that in your mind you feel pleasure when you're having your meal.
100%.
If I had sat there and not had that barbecue taste that I wanted, saying, "No, I don't touch barbecue sauce because I didn't make it myself," it would have been a negative experience as opposed to a positive, healthy experience that's probably healthier than 100% of the people in my neighborhood ate that day, right? But,
Yeah.
like I'm having a salad, but we can get so high pressure on ourselves that we forget that, like, that thing we're chasing isn't there. It was just about having a good meal and enjoying it at that moment and still supporting my body to the best way that I could within the means I had.
There was actually a study I saw a short reel on, and I don't know which study this is, but it actually showed that when it comes to a healthy diet and people who get enjoyment out of food, that they were finding people who also enjoyed their food lived longer because there's so many benefits to feeling good, and we need to remember that and make those sort of choices that make us feel good. And yeah, too many of us, I think, can feel like we're going backwards when we're actually moving forwards.
Mhm.
Like you're actually, if you are eating a plant-based diet, you're moving forwards. And the more I feel the mind stays there. And on cravings, what I found about cravings, so just say that example I gave, we can use your barbecue one, but the chips,
Mhm.
where someone is just about to burst because they need chips, especially when you first start the journey, right? And I say, cut up some zucchini and carrots and coat them in onion powder, nutritional yeast, and salt, or just onion powder and salt, and have that. And usually people, because their diets change, I mean, have as much as you want, right? That's not a bad thing. But more than likely you won't go back to what you were doing before because you've done that. But also, what I find when people don't find a way to honor their cravings, I find they overconsume on foods that their body did not want in the first place, that,
Mhm.
that, that are strict on their whatever their protocol is, and they still don't feel fulfilled. So you're creating a more of a lack. So you might go to bed absolutely stuffed off whatever you could because you're just trying to put something in, and you start seeking, but you won't go and have like a bowl of semi something which would kind of satisfy. And then usually if you honor that and haven't left it, usually it gets left. Or a couple days you might do it, then you get over it and remember how good you feel when you eat, lighter type foods or not as much onion powder, whatever it is you've added. But also that meal is quite good. To 99% of the world, they're just like, that's crazy. That's just vegetables. And here we are having a battle with ourselves. And that battle is what people struggle with.
Mhm. That is absolutely true. And there was something I was just about to say, and then I like lost it at the exact same time. I think I started wanting those chips you were describing, right? But you're absolutely right. Like that. I think it was when you talked about how the overall experience of being happy, and some people will say like, well, how do you not ever eat meat, or don't you crave meat? And that's just like we talked about that time. That's a standard that I've just been vegan for so long. My body craves an alternative already. It no, automatically swaps it in my head. And I think if we could find a way when we're trying to, let's say, level up our diet, maybe we're trying to get to a point where we're not eating only what was that diet you mentioned, beer, Oreos, and and
And
chips, right?
hot
So or
fries, like
hot
fries.
fries,
Yeah.
right there you go. So if we're trying to create that, sometimes if you want that, it'll automatically, like, now that Skye knows that that the chips that she creates when she wants possibly something salty or chips, your mind just automatically goes to that, instead of having to really overthink it a lot. It's not this really big struggle, I think, once you've been like once you get over that initial hump of figuring out everything that you like and what you eat, like within this diet. I've talked before about, like, when it's time to order takeout, let's say I'm here with multiple people, like when Dawn's family was here and everyone's ordering these takeout things that I wouldn't eat, I wanted sushi because that's my little treat meal that I get, but it's still raw and it's still vegan, and I can be very happy, and I'm as excited as whatever they were ordering when it gets here. I'm that excited every night when I make my salad because, like you said, we can play with the textures, and I just really enjoy it. If it was something I didn't enjoy, I wouldn't be doing it. Like, I cut into this cantaloupe yesterday, and it was like one of the best ones. When you cut into a piece of fruit and you take a bite out of it, and it's like
Yeah.
that just brings me so much joy. Like watermelons, cantaloupes, a lot of times melons will do that for me. Like, I'm like, this is perfect because it's not one of those things I get right a lot of the times when it's ripe. So it's like that, and then cutting into the salad, throwing the little dressing, whatever on it, mixing it up. If that brings you joy when you're doing that, that's where the point that I think you want to get to. And then recreating those alternatives for those cravings is, Skye, like, your recipes are I was watching you and your niece this morning wanting chocolate donuts for breakfast. I just want to thank you for that, right? And I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't have sweet potatoes here. How am I going to get these? But it went away.
Yes. And I think that's really important. I think because we've all come from a mindset of, okay, I'm going to get on this diet, and even in the subconscious, that it's going to be a punishment. Our brain does not think of pleasures too much because, as Stell said here, she's like, I started wanting those chips, and
To me
they're
too,
very,
Estelle.
it's very simple and very healthy. And especially if people are starting or getting cravings, is think of those foods. Don't think of thinking that you're eating like very, very strict and it's going to give you an outcome. Because I just have noticed in my entire life, anything that came from pain gave me pain. Anything that came from love and I love starts to give me more love. And also on cravings, I will say I do struggle most when I've been in a very decadent event, as in like it's Mother's Day and everyone around me is eating like 7 courses with all these, drinks, and it's very stimulating. But also I'm not around that very often. So, but also it is Mother's Day and everyone else has had treats. I usually go home and make myself something a little like more decadent than I usually do. And that's fine. Whatever I eat as a raw vegan is healthy. Like
Yeah.
where I can't miss.
Hmm.
Shoot, and I get it right. Even when I get it wrong, I get it right because
Exactly.
it's all healthy. That's what I realized when I first started getting well. I'm like, I can't get it wrong. Like you
Hmm.
really can't. Like definitely some raw foods don't agree with some people, but you learn. You
Hmm.
learn that, and then that learning experience is like, okay, some of it is just you can't do it right now. I'm through a stage of the histamines in avocados, can't do avocados right now. Do I hate avocados? No, I love them. I had some this week and it didn't hurt me. So it's, well, like, give me histamine issues. So it's like, even if I got the histamine issues, it's nothing like when I used to have processed things in my life.
Absolutely. I love that. And like it's such a big umbrella of things. Like it's two ways we could look at it, right? As long as I don't eat if I eat any of the fruits, any of the vegetables, any of the nuts for the most part, like you said, and any seed, I can put all these things together and make these combos and I can have spices and everything. And it's like you could look at it like that, or you're looking at it like, oh, I can't have meat and dairy and this or this or this, like I love the fact that you take all the things that we can have within this, and it's so many things. Like when you really sit down and think about it, you're as long as you're keeping it to that, like I know there is a way that you can overeat, I'm sure, in anything, but really it's really hard. That's why I think it's easier to maintain my weight, and for others too, as long as there's not some underlying, other health
Mhm.
issue. But as far as like when it comes to like most people, when they eat all raw food, even if they eat as much as they want, it's easier because the caloric density is lower unless you're eating like, maybe like I would like to 12 avocados a day, maybe. I don't know. I'm not a doctor, but I wouldn't know what would create that. But for the most part, that's one of the things I love about this lifestyle, because I always hated diets that I went on in my 20s that I had to eat very small portions because I was like, oh, this isn't joyful. I'm still hungry. And then I'd go back to just eating whatever I wanted.
Yeah, and I just think that joy aspect is so important. Like, you're coming on this, and if you overeat, we still as humans get to learn, but you don't make yourself extremely sick. And I
Hmm.
saw Rocky Wright and Friends has said here, "Hi, I've been raw for about a month. Congratulations on that. That's an amazing feat." Then on my birthday, I ate vegan junk food. I got so sick it was crazy. I've never experienced that before. It
Oh,
is.
I have.
I've never once gone raw, uh, gone completely back. But my theory on this is when you start eating raw, not as much energy is directed to the digestive system, like by default, like those automatic processes in the body redirect energy. And that's the reason we feel, more focused, more concentration. Our skin feels nicer, disease starts to heal. And so when you put something in that the gut wasn't energetically prepared for, it's like the whole system has to just pull energy from everywhere to kind of process that. That's my kind of take on it, but that's only my take on it because I knew when I would eat cooked food, when I was going raw, I'd eat cooked food, I just end up with symptoms and back in bed. But it wasn't junk food; it was simply just dry or steamed, and I was not good.
And it wasn't good anyway. Yeah, I had that similar situation. Like, not the first time I was raw, because I eased back into it, where I think one day I just had like 6 months of completely raw. But instead of just going back to all junk food, I had kind of just started adding in, oh, maybe I'll eat a little bit of potatoes here and there, or beans. And then, but I did go through a period of time in 2023, I think it was, that I really went on. I mean, it was probably like the most minimalist I've ever ate. It was just like fruits and literally lettuce and cucumber and maybe celery, I think. Like it was pretty intense there for like 3 months, and then I forget what was going on or what we were celebrating, but we decided to have tacos. And I made like the gardein crumbles. I had the processed sour cream, and oh my gosh, I woke up that Monday with the worst cold. I don't know. I think my body like formulated all this mucus, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is crazy." And
Wow.
it would be ironic because I hadn't been sick in like 4 years since I went vegan. I didn't get like a, yearly cold, and anything could have been, but it was very ironic that it wasn't, you know, related to that. Let's just say, I think it had some completely like what you were saying. I mean, if your digestion doesn't like it, then something else in me did not like what I was putting in there, like maybe the chemicals or whatever I was eating in the in the vegan like junk type food. So it was I've definitely experienced that too, Rocky.
Yes.
It's like our
Okay.
body gets used to what we're eating and it's like, "Whoa, what's this?" Right? It would be like
Yeah.
just any other routine in your life probably as people. If we were used to working 7 days a week and then somebody gave us a week vacation, we'd be a little bit startled too.
But then that's another learning curve, right? It's like that you've now learned and can't be taught. There's many things you can read in books, but when you actually learn it, it's something that you then inside your own mind have to make decisions about after that. And when that battle comes up, because when you've had a lot of cooked food, you want more of it, is the reason you don't go back is because your learned lesson, not because you've been told it's negative. And I think that's really important. Um, on these journeys. So, Don B, do you ever crave cooked food, Skye, like baked potato or fried cauliflower or anything? Okay, so my brain is at a point, and I think it's very blissfully been like this for a while, is because raw food made me so sick, I didn't allow myself, cooked food made me so sick, I didn't allow myself to think about it very often. It was always like, how do I manage this? How do I do this raw? And then now it just doesn't think of cooked food. If I've never actually wanted potato again, which is interesting. Sweet potato, yeah, potato for some reason, no. Um, Cauliflower, yes, or fried cauliflower. My brain goes straight to how do I make this raw?
Dehydrate it.
How do I
Maybe.
make this raw? It doesn't even go, oh, I could, quickly order something. It does never gone there. In fact, or, mum has an oven. It's never gone there. It just goes, how do I make this? How do I make this? And that comes with leveling up, right? Is you just start by not letting yourself have those things by having things which you can, which are raw. So
Mhm.
out of all the raw kingdom of food, you can have anything right now to face your craving. Go for it. Like just
Yeah.
think I want this, then I want this, and put this in, and you'd be surprised how over time your brain only sends you that message. So like something like fried cauliflower, I love to do with like I'll make like a batter, could do like an almond batter. Similar to that, my marinated cabbage steaks, and then I would just crumb it in possibly even more almond or just chia and flax that's been ground up and put it in the dehydrator. And it's to me, my brain actually prefers the raw food. Every time I try the raw food, like something that's been cooked and I make it raw, I love it more raw. Like I
Mhm.
actually don't like the soft. If something starts to get too soft, I love that crunch. Like I
Yes.
love it. I
I
love it.
think it and everybody's used AI, like, so sometimes I think our brain, when it comes to alternatives and stuff, like we don't like when you ask it a question, it's so fast, like it will write something back so quickly, like almost like it didn't even think about it. I feel like that's what you're saying and kind of like what I'm
Yes.
saying in a way, like my brain doesn't go to that old treat. It goes to the new recreation or how I could create that, like it's really amazing that happens, but it's about what you want to walk into, what you want to go for and what suits your, I mean, it's like the best of both worlds, the way that, you've been able to move through this journey from where you've come from and you can still live in joy and also be as healthy as you can and feel a good quality of life, right? Like that's what we're all really like. To me, that is my perfection, is
Yes.
I'm doing something that's aligned with, I'm not going, because now I know so much about the body and the way it heals and the mind, how it's important to be happy. And I know so much about sunlight and things. I'm doing these things because I'm trying to be nice and gentle to my digestion and my body, not necessarily I'm doing it because I read a book that told me not to eat this way, or I'm trying to lose 10 pounds and then I'm going to go back to wherever it was. I've figured out a way to really enjoy this lifestyle. And sometimes it means maybe steaming some vegetables, or maybe it doesn't, but it's not something that I'm causing pain or that I wake up every day like, oh, I got to do this diet. It's just something we want to do. And if you can figure out a way to pull yourself out of your original comfort zone and get this to be your new comfort zone, to really feel aligned with what your level is that you can do right now, adding little things. Like I love what you said, no one goes and starts running a marathon, and it can make it look so far out of reach, it's
Yes.
just like try one little thing each day because that's how we all did it. We added something on or figured something out that this doesn't make us feel good. Like, there's these one cookies I used to love, these Lynn and Larry cookies, and I thought, oh, they're healthy at one point during my journey. But every day I would wake up and my stomach would feel so weird and bloated, and I'm like, I don't want those
Oh,
anymore. Even if I would have a taste for them, I'd figure out another raw vegan cookie or some banana and nut butter or something to have with that instead. Like these are things you have to only you can learn, and only you can find one thing you like and do it each day, and start to really find things that you enjoy. Because what I enjoy within raw food, we're all still eating in that, that same realm under that umbrella of, keeping all the enzymes intact, as we say, like, keeping it living food, but it can be a million different things within it. So I would say don't get caught up in having to eat only one thing or one way, especially in the beginning.
yeah, and I just see here, this makes sense. I still feel hungry for like steamed veggies and beans and stuff like that. And what I have noticed on this journey is I went into fruits and did very light. But how much I don't think about foods now that I include especially more cruciferous vegetables, they seem to be so dense that more filling, there's more nutrients in them. If I make sure in my salads I've got some Brussels sprout or cauliflower or purple cabbage, is I feel more satiated. I went through a stage and they're out of lentil. I don't know how everywhere I go is out of lentils. Like vegans around here must not be happy. But usually I soak some lentils or slightly sprout, and they seem to really help feel like you're having a full salad. Like, especially
Mhm.
when I train, I really love to have, well, I'm always training. So it's like I like my greens, but I like some cruciferous, but I also like mushrooms. I also like some sprouts or just some soaked lentils. That all helps. But it depends where you are on your journey and what you want to accomplish, because sometimes you might still don't keep really sabotaging yourself if you could sit at a level with salads and steamed potato. Do you know what I mean? Like, don't be like, I'm all raw and now I'm
Yeah.
all like junk. I'm all raw and now I'm all junk. You are so much better off because, on a scale of the most satiating foods ever, potatoes is the top. Don't ask me where I saw that. I was shocked as well. They said there are all these things, and there's most of them were actually vegetables. They weren't meat. I was expecting this whole meat category because people are
Yeah.
like, I stopped meat and I'm hungry, but
Not
potatoes was.
me. I did that diet a long time ago where you're supposed to, like, when I was in my 20s, eat only meat. I was always hungry. I wanted some bread.
It's because your
Honestly,
body
that
needed
didn't
some
work for me. I
fuel.
could never do whatever they call it now, carnivore. That wouldn't be that.
Mm.
Even now, I wouldn't do it because I love animals too much now to be unvegan, I should say, right? Or not eat within that diet. But I'm telling you, I wouldn't even like it. I never even liked it that much, even then, right? Um,
Yeah. So also I think people need to be very aware that juices cannot fill you up in any way. They should not be classified as a particular meal. It's still fasting state. Like in the morning when I am doing green juices, I think of them as hydration and nutrients, but do not think of them as a meal. So if people are like, for lunch or for dinner, I'm going to do this, that's fine, but never get in the mindset that it's actually going to like fill you up in any way. It's got no fiber. Fiber is what makes us full. So that's really important. Smoothies, of course, are a meal. Um, so,
Oh, I wanted to
uh,
tell Don too. That might be the way that you go to that next level. Like Skye said, if you are trying to, in your mind, you want to eat only uncooked, that's a great idea to do everything and then do one, steamed potatoes with your salad. But what I wanted to mention real quick, I think I typed it in the chat
yes,
actually. Oh,
this is very true.
These for me worked beautifully. Like when I was raw, for the first time, I was the same way. It was like I ate this salad and I was like, okay, I'm still hungry because my body was craving the old things that I used to have. And when I added some fresh sweet corn and just cut it right off the cob, and then at that time, I think. Yeah, then I think avocado came first. That filled me up. But when I did the corn with the avocado, that just gave me like it
Ooh,
felt more like a complete meal. And I know some people don't do any starches, like vegetables like that, but and then peas, like the frozen peas you can get, like no matter where you are, I
sure.
just let them thaw out, and I don't know if they're hopefully that's still raw, but they're so good if you can't find like sugar snap peas work too. But for some reason, those three in my salad keep me really full. Like even now, if I'm having a day where I'm just, I don't know if this happens to you, Sky, but I'll have a day where I barely eat, but then I'll have days where I'm just so hungry, like I
Yes.
just want to eat everything.
Yes. I do, but also on like when you get something, because yeah, of course, some foods of anything in a packet's usually been flash heated or flash cooked or whatever. But
Yeah.
we're talking about here a person staying raw versus them going all the way back because they didn't feel full. And the second thing about peas, so I buy peas raw, but they're very expensive. They are, I don't know how somebody thinks I'm not healthy when my treat food is raw peas. They're very expensive. Like on my birthday, I bought peas, right? Raw peas, like just they've been deshelled and whatever. And avocado literally saved me when I first went raw because I needed that density. But then a lot of people, then as we know, don't want fats. So you got to
Mhm.
like it gets like I don't want too much sugar, I don't want too much fat, and then they're like I don't want starch. And when you're in that mindset, I promise you need to reassess. I've been there. I've been there when I ended up on just grapes and watermelon because you think that that's too dense. You can't mix that. Can't have that at
Yes,
that time of day. And
so
somehow I've
hard to get
ended
to
up
that
kind of
point.
so yeah, and it's like an orthorexia, or it's even like you're trying to see how high you can go, where you end up with problems. You're better off just learning, and it's not that you're not raw; it's just the way the world is. We can't go and have strictly like raw nuts. Raw nuts do not exist around here. I mean, well, technically, the ones I get from my guy are picked, but I assume he still has to wash them with a heat before he packages them and sends them to me. Though he
Mhm.
always says he doesn't know how long they're going to last on the shelf. But still, is we have the way the world is. This is important to realize is that anything that comes in a packet has had some sort of heat on it, but it's not our fault. It's just the way the world is. We want the nutrients. Trust me, when I started adding more back in, my hair, like everyone can see my
Yes.
hair, my skin, that did not happen on just fruits. Like that
Mhm.
was definitely a pathway to where I needed to get, but don't discredit the packet foods like I did for a long period.
I like that, race lever. We've got, somebody with a sense of humor like me, I think, in the, chat here. He has a lentil dealer. When you mentioned you couldn't get
Oh, I
lentils,
need one. I need one. I
he
would
can hook
sit.
you up.
Oh, good. Message me. I am like, I've gone, keep going to the shop, and then they're explaining that they ordered them in, and they've gone again. I'm like, that doesn't help me. When are they coming back? And I'm talking about the split. Not that I eat these, like the split lentils which they make for dal, gone. Different brands, gone. And then I went to Miranda, gone. And I'm like,
It's funny how
I'm
certain things just sell out like that. Like, I couldn't understand what was going on, but then I realized it was Cinco de Mayo, um, I think here when I couldn't find any avocados. I'm like, what's going on? Is somebody playing a trick on me? Is Sky gonna have me on like a candid camera for her show on Monday? There's gotta be avocados in this town. I went to like three different places.
like
I
I'd
just
stolen them
pictured
all.
me on like a camera, like we got JJ this week.
Yeah, no, that's when yeah, I avocados are literally life force. And this was all about me being able to, at this point, even see online that people were like saying, do a lower fat, do this. And for me, every choice was what is the choice of staying raw because I can't go back. And for me at the start, it was just consistently eating avocados. Plus, I needed to put on weight. So that worked out well. But maybe my body was telling me something. But the choice I make whenever I look at something, if the cravings come up, or especially when you first start, is this keeping me, what am I willing to do to stay raw? This is my, how does this look raw? I'm still raw. Like if you're in that mindset, and I just think as well, like some days, and I don't have a stomach, remember too, is I've tried to get back to having like the first fruit meal of the day, and something always goes wrong. And I think it's because the fruit sits in my small intestine. It doesn't go to the stomach. Small intestine, the sugar crosses very quickly, and I need a blocker, something to just slow that.
Mhm.
That may change, but I wouldn't be a raw vegan if I kept trying to do fruit. So I had to go, what I don't want to go all the way back. So where do I sit here? And then it's
Right.
led me down this beautiful journey of discovering that I don't have to have mast cell activation symptoms or as many sensitivities. So don't think that your experimentation with the raw food kingdom, vegan raw food kingdom, will not lead you to great things.
That is great, and I think that, remember, it's wanting, if when you start to look at it like I want to put as much raw, fresh food in my body that I can, instead of I can only do
Yes.
it. Like that puts you at a point where you're not going to be able to have the walnuts on top of your salad because you couldn't find the on the label where it said raw, but yet you didn't enjoy it because you weren't full. And so you woke up the next day and went back to your diet that was, normal, that that you were trying to move into this fresh raw food. It's like, put as much in you as you can. That's still 100% better than trying to be dogmatic and trying to think you failed or you didn't do it right. And that's like, that's the whole, I guess we're back to the instead of chasing this perfection, just love, enjoy the moment, love how your body's
Yeah.
changing and feeling.
Yes. And with that, that is the end for this week. I have seen Race Lever has asked how long I've been raw for. I've been raw for 4 years. And JJ, you?
Um, in April will be 7 years that I've been vegan, and I've not been completely raw the whole time. But for the last pretty much 2 years, I've been, for the first 6 months, and then I went kind of all over the place, kept a lot of raw foods, but I've been, I would say at least 90% raw in the last two
I
years
love that.
completely. That was a long answer. I could have just said 7 years.
I love that. Okay, guys, we will see you next week. I hope everyone has a good week.
Thank you, everybody in the chat, for being here. Appreciate you all.
Bye.
Bye.